Kia ora te whānau and welcome to another Stitch and Spindle with Waihipi. Welcome to my veranda on my tiny house. It's time for a little kōrero about some projects that I've been making and doing and catch up on some ideas that I've got. Anyway, where to start? I'll start with spinning because it's right here. Creative Fibre are doing a challenge this year, and the challenge is to make something with the Haunui fibre and to others spin it and knit it, weave it, whatever. And so I brought a bag, I think it was of about 200 grams, and it had 3 colours in it. I have already spun up one little hank, so there we go. It's lovely and it's very skinny. I spun this on my Dreaming Robots nano tiny little e-spinner, and it's beautiful and squishy. So I have spun this one up, and I have, it's so beautiful. You can see the crimp, it's just amazing. Did I save a little bit? There's a little bit here that I saved to show you the beautiful crimp on that fibre. And this basket is full of the dark colour that I put through the hackle this morning. I washed it, and I'll do a little video on how to wash the fibre if you're just doing a small amount. And I use the Margaret stove method, so I will do a little video on that. And this is what I have left to process in the white in the Haunui fibre. So gorgeous. I mean, look, this one isn't as fine as the other two, but still very gorgeous. So I'll wash this place. I'll do a little tutorial for you to show you how I process that. So that's what I've been spinning at the moment, and it took me a while to spin that because I was trying to get really super fine. So there's that. Oh, and while I'm on spinning, a couple of weeks ago I did a video on dyeing with Harakeke. Now I've had this sitting in my windowsill, and whenever I'm at home I'll stick it outside in the full sun as well, just to show you the card has actually faded here. So some sun fading has happened, and I'll just open this up to see if there's any difference with the fibre. And there is a little bit of difference with the fibre. There is a clear, break point there where it is definitely lighter here, and that had been out in the sun, and that was a Harakeke dyed one. This one was a fresh batch where the pods were soaking for a couple of days, and then I put some more wool in that had been pre-soaked. So there's really no change in that one, and there is a slight, very very slight, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, this is what was out in the sun, and that one was in the card, and there is a slight fading there for another couple of weeks. I think it's been a couple of weeks so far, so that lot was sticking out. So the one that I had soaked for longer, there doesn't seem to be much of a fade. Well, I couldn't see any, so I'll put that back in there, and we'll keep testing that one. I'll put the clips over the card because it's interesting that the card has definitely faded. So I know that in some way it's kind of working. So that was a good little test, and that's how you can test if your dye is going to be Colourfast, especially if you're going to do a natural dye. Okay, I'll go on to the slow stitching now. Oh, and I'll do a shout out to my friend Marina. I met her when she first came to New Zealand. There's grass everywhere because I've been mowing the lawn, haven't I? I don't know how I managed to get grass on everything. Anyway, this is Strawberry Patches. I taught Marina to dye wool when she first came to New Zealand. It was her birthday, and I said you know, she wanted to come to Waihipi, and I said, come to our spinning group, and she did, and I showed her how to dye wool, and the rest is history. Go check out her amazing fibre and yarn that she dyes. She was going to do the Once Upon a Mini Yarn Club, and I wanted to do Vasilisa, and I was going to join in January, but I was a bit late. I think that one was a Baba Yaga. Anyway, this is the picture that the minis were based on. Superwash merino, so sock yarn. It is 80% merino and 20% nylon, and there are 80 meters in each mini. Not sure what I'm going to do. I just with it, but I just wanted it because Vasilisa. I love that story. I've noticed it's in a very stylish bag. I'm so happy with this rice bag. It's the first one I've ever made. I followed K3N's YouTube tutorial on how to make it. I did buy a book ages ago with, you know, how to make it, but I never got around to it. Finally, I decided to do it, and inspired by the prompt and the alphabet that K3N did a couple of weeks ago, I incorporated some blanket stitch around here, which is beautiful, and I really love that blanket stitch tutorial. Great. And then this here, these are all shibori dyed, which I dyed myself, and I've had them for a couple of years. This one here was dyed using one of those cones with the holes in it, and that's inside of some yarn sometimes, and it had little holes. It was a plastic cone, and I wrapped it around that plastic cone, and I put thread around it, and came out with some really interesting shapes. Some of them to me looked like they were leaves, some of them looked like they were feathers, so I stitched them appropriately, and really am happy how this turned out. The fabric string I made using another one of K3N's tutorials on fabric twine. It is made by indigo dyed silk, which I ripped into strips before this. So this is the first of many bags. And what is that? Mason bead. Shoo. First of many bags, and really happy with this project. Awesome dyeing. This is my yellow dyed cotton from the olive experiment that I was doing, and I'll probably over dye it because I don't know, I can't really see myself using this pale yellow. It's just not something I'll use, but I will over dye it probably with tea or something. Some more slow stitch. I'm following K3N's alphabet prompts, which actually inspired me to do my Te Reo Māori slow stitch alphabet, and there's only 15 letters in the Māori alphabet. Anyway, this is my applique from K3N's first prompt. Really had fun doing that. It was, I sort of hit a brick wall with my coverlet. I might show it to you in another episode and get some feedback on it, because I'm kind of stalled. But I'm hoping that by doing this, it'll get me back into the flow again. I sort of fell off the wagon of doing my coverlet. I think it was about June. I think I just lost some confidence or something. But anyway, we'll get back to it. This was the blanket stitch prompt, which I really enjoyed doing, and I extended it on to doing my Japanese knot bag as well, and I'm enjoying looking at the back of this as well. It's beautiful. And last week I just didn't have the mental energy to do the bubble prompt, and there was another one as well. So all I managed to do from the C is practice the K3N stitch, which I did along here, and I've joined this section on with a series of French knots, and so I was inspired to do that. I did that last week. I came home from work absolutely exhausted, and I sat on the couch and I had no mental energy to even watch TV or do anything, but I just sat there and did the stitching. and I felt a lot better. So that's kind of going to be a bit of a focus of my next Te Reo Māori video. It sparked an idea anyway. So I was very happy to be able to just sit there and mindlessly stitch it because I just had nothing left in the tank. It was like bleh. So I'm really enjoying doing this though. It's coming along beautifully. Now, since I'm talking about sewing, I'll get this beast. This is the beastie beast. So this little beastie will one day be a bag. Surprise! It is from a Japanese, what is it called, jelly roll. It has 40 strips, which are 2.5 inches wide and 1.10 long. It was a bit of a mission. I did this when I was house sitting for my friend Jane, and I set up the sewing machine downstairs in her garage, and I had to sort of break it up. I think I was doing like 5 meters at a time, and 5 strips, which is about 5.5 meters at a time. My brain just couldn't cope with any more. So inside of here is offcut of batting, which I begged from Tracy, and also some other kind of batting that I put inside. And I folded it over like doing bias binding, and then sewed it with my sewing machine that's got the walking foot. And I have made one of these before, which I ended up giving up to my daughter because she needed a decent sized bag to carry her laptop to uni. It is now, the cat has claimed it. My grand kitten Karen has claimed the bag. So it is no longer taking the laptop to uni. It is being taken over by Karen, but she loves that. She's a gorgeous cat, and I don't mind. But I thought actually I could make another one, and I will probably show you how that's done on my Ko-Fi. I'll just do a little video over on my Ko-Fi to show you the process of this one. So that is a project, and that's a big beastie of a project. And still on sewing, I have made another little container. The other one kind of got taken over by my cottons and threads and needles and scissors and things like that. I'm going to make a little lid for this, and I've got my coffee cup from Kia. I looked after her last week, and she's a little Kia kitten gave me a beautiful Waihipi made coffee cup, and it just so happens that it fits perfectly in my new container. I've made the walls this time a little bit thicker. I didn't even know Kia was going to give me this cup until I got this yesterday, and I went, oh, this is perfect timing. So I've made it reversible. There was a video, I think it could have been in the slow stitch video, I'll find it anyway. K3N mentioned it. It was a video of Stitch Artists exhibition which they did during COVID, and they had a Zoom talk, and I learnt quite a lot from listening to it and got very inspired. And one of the artists was saying that she was trying to make her work reversible so you could see it from both sides. So that inspired me to make this container reversible. So that was the thing. It happened. So I've got a blanket on the base here, and on the other side I have some beautiful cotton velvet for the base there. Had a great time making it, although the batting that I used in here was a scrap piece of cotton batting, and this is a piece of merino fabric. It was not that pleasurable to sew, but I soldiered on and got through it. I did not do my little needle test to see if I was going to enjoy the process, but once I started, I had a vision and I wanted to finish it. So I will put a little lid on there and make a tiny lid. I might do a tutorial on this little container as well sometime. Don't know when. Maybe we go on to knitting. I'll talk to you about the socks first. It is very hot today. I've got to have some water. I won't be wearing socks at the moment. Too hot. So I have finished a sock. This sock is from Sable yarn that I got at Knit August Nights last year. Now they were 50 gram balls, and I bought 2 balls kind of similar. They both have the same colour on the outside and what look like similar colours on the inside. So I used both balls of wool at the same time. Starting top down, I've used a strand of mohair throughout, and I think it was the same colour mohair for both the blue and the pinky colour down here. So with the blue colour here, that was from the outside of one ball, and this pinky colour was from the inside of the other ball. When I make the second sock, the outside of the original one that I was using the inside of will be knitted from the outside, and then vice versa for the other ball. So I'm really happy how that turned out. I have not cast on another sock yet. I was thinking about it, but I accidentally slipped and cast on another project, and I'll show you that in a bit. I really like knitting the socks with the mohair because I can use a 325 needle and it goes really fast, and I feel like I'm achieving something. And I really love the feel of the mohair too. It's super warm, so I'm very happy with making that. And it's this is my second pair of the painted brick socks. I really enjoyed making the pattern so much that not only am I onto my second sock, but I actually made a whole pair. So these socks are about 3 years old now. And I used the Zaba ball, so they're kind of twinish, but not quite. I used the Zaba ball for the colour, and an alpaca yarn for the dark framing of the painted brick socks. And as soon as I knit this on a 275 needle, and even though I did that, I had so much fun knitting the sock, I actually cast on and made another one. So I had a pair, fantastic socks, and I just enjoyed the pattern. Not so much for this one. So this is knit from my hand spun, and this was the first Stephen West knit along, the contrast blast socks. Did my head in. I did follow the knit along, and I learnt something about myself, that I am definitely not a deadline knitter. Do not enjoy that process one little bit. Just not going to enjoy it at all. So I did this first sock, I did in about 6 weeks. I was kind of following the prompts every week, but I kind of took a little bit longer because it was really doing my head in. So this one took me about 6 weeks to make, and this one took me 2.5 years. I was losing the will to live. I did cast on not long after finishing that one, but I just couldn't face doing the rest of the sock for ages. And then I would do it in bits and starts. So I'd pick up the needles, pick up the work, and just occasionally do pieces along here. But by last year, I'd only got up to halfway here, and I did a 100-day project with Waihipi Spinners and Webs year, and we picked the thing that we wanted to achieve during the 100 days. I chose to finish all my unfinished projects because it was kind of getting a bit overwhelmed by how much I hadn't finished. So I was desperate to get these off the needle, and when I picked it up again, I'd recovered enough that I hadn't lost my will to live anymore, and I was able to finish it in a couple of weeks, just picking it up every now and then, and was so happy to get them off the needle. I'm going to enjoy wearing them. By the time I had finished these last year, it was too warm to wear them. So it did make me lose the will to live, but I did recover. It did take 2.5 years. So when I say at least it didn't take me 2.5 years to knit, that's what I mean. So I survived those socks. Another thing that I have finished is the Melt the Ice hat. This is in a yarn that is no longer being made. Supreme Possum, Masco's used to sell it, and my friend Avril gave me the yarn, and I wanted to cast on straight away last week, and I didn't have any red yarn that was suitable, so this was a natural colour, and I overdyed it red, so it's a beautiful colour, super warm. I melted knitting it literally 40% possum, 50% merino, and 10% silk. It is a very gorgeous hat, but way too hot to wear it at the moment, and it was actually too hot to knit it, but I did it. I managed to do it, and I knitted. I've got my little anti-fascist peg that I just sort of had some leftover yarn, so I thought I'd make a little peg. So that was a little bit of fun. The cast on that I have on my needles at the moment, I kind of accidentally slipped over and cast on a new project. But to be fair, it has been a project that has been sitting in my cupboard for 2 years. I saw this pattern, and it is a Hohi Locatelli Lacy Boxy fade. Find the picture of my very worn out. So this is the pattern. I brought the pattern straight away when I saw it at Knit August Nights 2 years ago, and I bought the yarn, more yarn than I actually needed. I think I might have needed 80 grams of the main colour, which is the top and the sleeves, and 50 grams of the other 4 colours that I was going to use. But I bought 100 grams of each colour, so I'll be making some socks. The mohair that I'm using in this project is from DEA yarns. This is 100 grams, and it is 70% kid mohair and 30% silk. And this was $29 for the 200 grams. I'll show you my progress on my Lacy Boxy fade. This is my first time knitting a Locatelli pattern. Absolutely love it. Her writing of the pattern is fantastic. It's knit top down. You knit one side first, then the next side, and then picking up stitches to knit the back. The process, if it hadn't been explained well, would have been tricky to understand, but it was very well written. So I'm up to I'm just starting the third piece of the lace, and I'm onto my third colour. I've got 2 more colours to use, and you knit the top part flat and back and forward, but when I started to join the colour in the round, I'm doing helix or helical knitting. I'll put a video to explain that in the description for you, so you can have a look at how to do the helical knitting. It's to stop colour pooling. I've got fluff everywhere. It's to stop the colour pooling when you're using a variegated or an indie dyed yarn, so that it doesn't get a block of colour and look a bit blur. So I'm really happy with how that is turning out so far. It's got a beautiful rhythm to knit it, because once you finish one side panel, you do another side panel, then you do the back, then it's time to do the lace, and by the time you're finished with the lace and over the lace, it's time to do, a block of plain knitting, and then you're ready to jump into the next layer of lace. And this has 4 sections of lace, and I'm up to the 3rd, so it feels like it's got a beautiful pace to it. And also looking forward to the next colour that you're going to knit. So I've balled this one up into 2 balls for my helical knitting to avoid the colour pooling. The last colour I'm going to use is this. It is a solid colour, so I'm just going to be knitting that straight, and I should use about 40 to 50 grams of that colour, and very happy how the whole project is coming out, and I definitely would knit more Locatelli patterns. This had been in my queue for many years, but when seeing it in the wild, I just knew I had to have it. Don't know what I'm wearing it with yet, but it's, I don't know, I'm looking forward to it being finished. I am kind of focusing on knitting that. There is one project that's in the naughty corner, and it's a bit too hot to knit with it at the moment anyway. So I was happily knitting this along probably till about mid-November, surprisingly. It is a big project and it's very warm. It's way too hot to knit at the moment. And what happened was, as I was knitting it, I realised I'd made a mistake that I couldn't live with down here. It's about 8 rows down, 8 very long rows down. So I am going to unpick it. Not now, it's just too hot even having it on my lap. I'm melting. So I'll unpick it section by section, just so I can keep track, and hopefully it will work out. But really happy with the knit. Yeah, I was just being a bit enthusiastic about trying to fix it when I really couldn't. Very happy how this is turning out. This is the Marled Mania cardigan. I bought 10 balls of the Sable yarn at Knit August Nights to knit this. As soon as I saw the colour, I knew that's what I wanted. I had some bits and pieces from other projects that I wanted to use up, so I'm putting that because I'm using 2 strands held together. The other thing I'm enjoying about this project is, you know, just the process of changing colours and yeah, doing all that sort of thing. Love the collar, totally love the collar and how it is sitting beautifully. So once I fix up my mistake, and I have noticed that it is getting faster and faster to knit, so I'm going to enjoy wearing that. Hopefully it will get cold enough to wear it in Auckland, because I tell you, it's getting a lot warmer than it used to be. So that is my pattern that's in the naughty corner. I'll probably pick that up again, probably by the end of this month. I'll be able to start knitting it, because I'm pretty sure the way that my Lacy Boxy fade is going, that I will finish that in no time, just because it's so enjoyable to knit. I have 2 other things to show you, and I've got them inside, so I'll pop up, grab them, and be back in a minute. The first thing I wanted to show you was from a YouTube, from a tutorial that I did for my E2 statement, which means to stand. This is my Nīkau palm sculpture, and it has a little light inside, a remote control candle. Can't really see it out here. I'll insert a picture of what it looks like at dusk, so you can have an idea. I might see if I can find some copper wire. I think I might have some in the shed, and have this sort of sitting up a bit more. Yeah, I'll see how that goes. If I can find it, I will use the wire. Otherwise, I'm quite happy with how it turned out. And so that was my F2 standing tall like a tree, and the light inside represents hope for the future. So that was that project. And I did say I was going to show you I did put a picture on my community page of my Tegan that is now complete. I really enjoyed knitting this pattern. Love the yarn. It is the Zelana Kiwi, which I love. I had 7 balls, and I did not do a gauge watch at all. I cast on hoping that I didn't twist, because it's a bottom-up construction, so I cast on hoping I didn't twist the cast on, because I couldn't do a couple of rows because you just launch straight into the pattern. Loved the lace pattern, it is really nice. And the cotton, this is because the kiwi yarn is made from organic cotton, possum and merino, and I'm sure the possum's organic as well. Really enjoyed knitting it, because by the time you've finished the lace, you're over the lace, and then you're ready to do some nice mindless knitting. When I sort of got halfway, I thought I would count my stitch gauge, and it was way more than what Caitlin said in her gauge watch, and I decided to knit this on a 375, and I just picked that number because I thought I liked the drape of the fabric. A lot of people that had knit this pattern have gone up to a 4.5mm needle. I didn't want that looseness. I was happy with the 375. I did get a bit worried that I would run out of yarn. I in fact ended up with 6 grams of wool, knitting the third size, and I used 7 balls, and each ball is 124 metres, they're 40 gram balls. Very comfortable knit, and I just found out, got a message this afternoon from Tracy saying that the yarn is fully back in stock and at New Zealand Fabrics and Yarn, so that will be a link in the description as well. So I'm very happy that we have the yarn, and this will go into the shop now for a sample. Well, I think that might be all of the things that I've got to show you, but I was thinking in the future of every now and then on a Wednesday doing a Wainanga Wednesday, doing random workshops that sort of pop into my head, and when I've got extra time, depending on my work schedule and my energy levels, I'll do some Wainanga Wednesdays. Karen, I'm doing filming the spinning, Learn to Spin, and it's some extra support for my students as well, who I teach to spin and just need to have a little bit of a refresher. Just a very basic to start with, using the drop spindle, and that's how I learnt to spin, using the drop spindle. I took my spindle home and from class, and for a whole week I just practiced and practiced and practiced. The spindle I was using wasn't very nice, and it was clunky, and I never wanted to see another spindle again. But then when I returned back to spinning in 2008, there'd been a lot of things that had changed. Like when I learnt to spin in the 80s, you had to, you weren't allowed to wash your fleece and spin it clean. It had to be spun in the grease, and there was all these rules, and the spinning police were out in force. But by the time I got back into spinning after homeschooling and running a business, flies everywhere. A lot of the rules had changed, and it was a lot more enjoyable, and now I have many spindles. And I love them all. They're all my favourite spindles because they all have different purposes. And if I want to spin super fine, I'll use my little 2-tool Turkish spindle. If I want to play historical stuff, then I've got my niddy noddy spindles that are medieval spindles. And I have some Bonagans, which are the Scottish spindles, and then I have other ones to spin different sizes of thicknesses of yarn. So, I can make an excuse to have very many spindles, and I can fit a lot of spindles in a tiny house. Not so many spinning wheels. I do have 5 spinning wheels. Some of them are very small, like my Nano electric is tiny, and I have a cotton spinner and another electric spinner, and my Aura is at my daughter's house in town, so when I do workshops I can just pick it up from her place, and I don't have to take it over on the boat, so that lives at her place at the moment. Well, I think that is all I can think of for now. Hopefully stay warm, stay dry, or stay cool, depending where you are. It's a beautiful afternoon here, and I've spent the morning in the garden, so I feel like I need to have a wee rest now. Anyway, ka kite anō, and thank you.